Hey guys and girls, just wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about Buzzsprout. Start a podcast today with free podcast hosting for Buzzsprout, easy podcasting software for hosting, promoting, and tracking your podcast. Buzzsprout is the best way to publish a podcast online for secure and reliable hosting to full iTunes support. Get started for free, no credit card required, cancel at any time.
Stats for losers.
That's why we took the damn field. Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass.
This is what's great about sports. This is what the greatest thing about sports is.
You play to win the game.
Welcome to the Airin podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Airing It Out podcast. I am Dustin Marion, your host as always. Today, my guest is John Robinson from Backup CEO. What is going on, John, and how are you doing?
I am living day 3 of the next 100 because of the new presidency. So I have a smile on my face because we went through 4 years of a lot of people feeling unloved, a lot of people feeling not wanted, a lot of people feeling not heard, and I'm looking forward to that changing. So I'm in a good place.
Yeah, I'm excited too. I think it was a time for a changing of the guard. For whatever viewpoints you have, I think a different narrative might be exactly what this nation needs right now.
Well, kindness is what the nation needs for sure. And hopefully with a new administration, there'll be more love out there than there has been. And that's not picking on any political parties. The fact is there could be a lot more love in the world than there was.
Well, usually history has a tendency of repeating itself, and it almost feels like not as bad, but a little bit removed, and some of the hope that was given from the Bush administration to Obama, right? Like we're kind of in that early phase of thinking and of being optimistic for the future. Because prior to that, I don't think that many people could see the forest from the trees in the sense of the outlining of where we were headed.
Yeah, I love the way you said that. And there's something that showed up for me in a podcast that I listened to. And the person said, if we want more peace in the world, then we have to have more peace in our countries. Then we have to have more peace in our states. Then we have to have more peace in our cities. Then we have to have more peace in our communities. And then we have to have more peace in our households. And then we have to have more peace in ourselves. You see how much you can zoom in from, we want peace. We got to start from within. So when you say that things might end up being the same, if people continue to act the same, then it will be the same for sure. So
yeah, no, I think through this podcast journey for myself, whether at the end of the day I ever get a nickel out of it, I think some of the things that we don't realize, like for example, I seen Wonder Woman the other day, right? And the whole concept,
the new one,
the whole concept of the thing was one wish, right? And I started to really think about what would be the one wish that I would want. And the one that kept ringing up was health, right? But when you see kind of the larger picture, people want cars, people want money. No one talks about better relationships. No one talks about receiving more love, right? It's so funny how mentally we're set up in that framework to receive items, right? And I thought the most powerful thing is, hey, man, if I'm healthy to 100, I'll take that. I think everything else I can attain myself potentially.
You were striking me at an amazing streak that I'm on. I feel like yep. So you caught me at an interesting place. I feel like if I was a baseball player, you got me in my streak, my hitter streak right now. And it's because I'm really digging deep into the power of the ego and what it has, how much power it has to evolve you and how much power it has to decay you. So just think about a plant. A plant is going to evolve and grow, or it's going to decay. The ego has that much power too. And that's what I'm in right now. I'm getting enlightened.
I know when you sent me all that information, it started to trip me out because I think that one of the things I've always been thankful for in talking to you is that not only do you see things in a different light, interesting light, and even sometimes in an early light, but it's always something that kind of takes me back a little bit because I sent you some of the stuff, and as I was putting it together, ego has a very negative connotation normally, right? And it's interesting on how you're trying to flip it where, yes, it could be bad, but it also could be empowering if you're coached up and if you know how to utilize it properly.
So here's what I do that with words. A lot of people will go with this word means that. And it could be a negative brain side or a positive brain side. I just go to the middle, which is neutral. So I neutralize the ego and say it's not good or bad, it's both. But a lot of people see, like again, we just walked out of an administration where the narcissism as a personality disorder in the mental health world, they would say that that's the over attention on ego. And the former president, that he had the biggest ego, is that's what was stated a lot. So when you have the narcissistic personality disorder, then it's all about ego and it's all about decay and tearing people down. Now, the ego of Nelson Mandela lifted people up. It built people up. It spread love. So I know you know the Jocko work of extreme ownership. You might know the work of, I think it's Ryan Holiday, is the enemy. The ego is the enemy. I think that's the name of the book. What if you took extreme ownership of the ego? Don't call it an enemy. Don't call it a hero. Just take extreme ownership of ego and be present with it. That's the streak I'm on right now, is getting present with my ego.
Yeah, no, I think that that's great because I think that there are times, and we're going to get into it too, that the ego can actually help you elevate your game, right? And we were talking a little bit off air before we got on, but I was looking at MLK because his day just passed, and like you were saying, someone in the same vein of Nelson Mandela, he used his ego for good, right? But then we have a tendency of viewing Malcolm X as someone who maybe took the ego and turned it on his head a little bit, right? And so there's always that constant dichotomy of when we see two sides of things, and it usually seems that the more fame goes to making ego look like a villain versus, like you're saying, taking complete ownership. But there's definitely, a part in the mind that if you don't push yourself, there really isn't no one to get you there or do it for you, right? I mean, you could have all the coaches in the world, but and we were bringing this in. We were talking about, it's one of the talking points, but how MJ was able to use his ego and dominate, right? And then you look at somebody like, let's say, Kyrie Irving, who can't even stay out of his own way because of his ego, right?
Yeah. And so let me unpack a couple things here. And I've never stated this before, so this is going to be kind of fresh. But the way that I'm looking at how to be presence is three parts. It's the mind, it's the body, and it's the soul. The mind is ego. It's thinking. That's why meditation is so prevalent right now, because it's trying to quiet the mind, quiet the ego, quiet the thinking. And then the body, you can tell when your body receives something really well. Like, I forgot, you're Yankees, right?
Yes, sir.
Right, I thought so. I was gonna say just to mess with you, but when you've been at a game and something amazing has happened, you felt it in your body, and your soul screams for that thing to happen. Your mind doesn't. You're not thinking that. Your ego, it's nothing there. It's your soul and your body. So when you start thinking about like these people who are just all ego, the Kanye West, like the Kanye West, all ego and not from a place of love, then you have, all this stuff going on, all this conflict. And the negative ego will talk you in your ear. Like, you're not good enough. You shouldn't be doing a podcast. Well, you're not going to make any money from it. Why are you doing that? And then if you look at it from the other side, the other part of the ego about creation, like, oh, one person on this planet is going to hear what they're talking about, and it might get them off of a ledge. Like, who cares about all of this? So there is so much power in becoming present with not only your ego, but your body and your soul. Because I can tell you, when athletes play with their soul versus their mind, Kyrie Irving, perfect example. You can see the difference between somebody playing with their soul, from their soul, than from their mind. So they say that a lot of these athletes, they're head cases. They don't say soul cases; they're head cases.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said. There's tons to unpack here. What I started to think about was, if if you were at zero, right, and you didn't either use it for bad or for good, and you wanted to use it for good, right? Besides quieting your mind with the meditation, what are some of the other steps or other practices? Because you have to exercise it, right, and get used to it being a good muscle. What are the practical things that you can use in day to day?
All right, dude, you're cosmically in alignment with me right now, because I didn't realize the things around me that I feel like show and tell. I'm gonna show and tell right now. So there is a book called A New Earth, and I think you pronounce it Eckhart Tolle or Tolle, I don't know. But this book has helped me become more present. So that's one of the tools in my toolbox. But as far as tactics or techniques, I am in a 21-day plus habit of waking up naturally in the morning and meditating on the feeling that I want to feel throughout the day. And what I mean by that, today was joy. I didn't get out of bed until I felt joy. That meant that I was meditating, and I use a Spotify, the guy named David G. Jii, and I use some of his meditating
Techniques.
pieces of work.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, techniques. And I purposely will stay in bed until I feel that feeling. It's been as early as 25 minutes, and it's been as long as an hour and a half. And what does that mean to feel joy before you go into the day? Think of joyful stuff. Think of things, memories that you had that just made you feel good from your soul. That's not the ego talking. The negative ego is talking to you, saying you can't be happy, this, that, and the other. That's the good side. That's the positive brain side that is getting you geared up, in essence, before you get on the court. I'm already in joy. The second thing I do after I get up, I do a stretching class. I have the mirror, so I do a stretching class for 15 minutes.
The actual, not a mirror, the technology mirror thing that has the exercise courses into it, right?
Yeah, that one. So I have that one, and I do 15-minute stretching class to release the tensions in my muscles. Remember, body, mind, I'm going to release the tension in my mind. Then I'm going to release the tension in my body, and I use a rumble roller. And a rumble roller is Tim Ferriss thing that I got it from him, and it takes out all the knots, all the tension. So now, by the time I'm up and into the world, my mind is less tense and my body is less tense. So then my soul can be more present, so I can do the kind of stuff that I want to do. So that is how I tame the ego a little bit, because that's what it is. You're taming it a little bit. That loud, you're not You're not looking forward to the day. You're not gonna be that valuable today. All that little stuff that can be in our head. Those ideas.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. It's weird when you say that we were like chemically or cosmically on the same path. That's been something that I've been trying to do as well, but just a little different. Like for example, I don't like when the alarm it has kind of like this negative pull you out of bed thing, right? You hear it, unless you get like some really nice sounds. I've been really enjoying just waking up, and in that
Naturally.
moment, yes, naturally, and in that moment I feel like you are way more present than getting ripped out of whatever REM sleep you're in or whatever state you are. So just that alone, without even talking to you, has set my day amazing. Like I'm like, bro, I feel great. And it's funny as you was talking about the muscle thing. It's almost like you go in super relaxed for a fight, right? Like you don't want to be tensed in a fight, right? You probably you might not you might second guess yourself, or your muscles might cramp up on you. I mean, bringing it back to sports, I'm not saying that LeBron James doesn't stretch, but look, when he got cramped up, he couldn't perform at the highest level, right? So that's another correlation to bring it into. But I think that people don't truly understand the toxicity of all of that negativity that maybe your brain was feeding you while you were sleeping, and you kind of got to get rid of, because when you shut the lights out, someone else is, driving the car, and whatever your fears and thoughts and whatever you thought about during that evening. I almost jump out of bed now, because it's a very relaxed feeling, and it allows me to get into my stuff easier, and I'm not so apprehensive to do my work. Now I'm excited about it. Now I want to approach it, and there's also a level of clarity. So I find it fascinating that there are things that we should and could be doing, especially now, right? I think now, I've talked to you about this the last time we talked. What an opportunity, right? So some people look at it as like, okay, we got COVID, lockdown, things are horrible. But I'm looking at it as like, bro, this might be the one time that you could actually get your shit together mentally to prepare for when they are doing these kind of things, and maybe get a control of your ego that was hurting you while things were going on.
Let me give you two words that you will be carrying with you for a while. Obsessive preoccupation. Now, what if I said you have an obsessive preoccupation with feeling joy, with being happy, with contributing in this world, being of service, spending quality time with your loved ones? What if you had an obsessive preoccupation with that? That's when the ego gets quiet, because you've developed consciousness. Whenever you say obsessive preoccupation, that's consciousness, that's awareness. So you can choose that. You can choose that. I have an obsessive preoccupation with waking up naturally in the morning, with feeling the feeling I want to feel all day before I get out of bed, and then reducing any knots in my body by doing a stretching class with a roller. That's how present people, that's how you can awaken your life purpose, when you get that much presence.
Yeah, no, I think that's very profound, and I'm excited to continue on this journey of trying to release the stress that comes in with the AM. Something that I was thinking about as we were putting this together, because like I said, I think ego not only affects us a lot, but we use celebrities and celebrity athletes as kind of like our centers and our pillars to kind of look at, and it's a weird way that there are role models, but yet they're not the best role models. And I was thinking about how Tiger used his ego to elevate his game, right? But then somewhere in the middle, my man got confused, and then the ego empowered him. I want to wait to the second part. I don't want them to cheat me, because they only going to give me the first part. I want to indulge and watch both pieces. You're talking about the doc on HBO coming out about him, correct?
Yeah, I watched them both.
Oh, they're already, both of them already out. Okay, cool. Because the last time I checked, it was only one, and I didn't want to get teased. I wanted to get the whole thing.
Yeah, Sunday. I think it came out last Sunday.
Okay, cool. But watching him go to like the pinnacle of greatness and slide backside, because I'm sure, listen, when your ego and you're in the room and everybody wants to know you, everybody wants to shake your hand, I mean, it's really hard to not get gassed. I mean, I couldn't even think of another word to think about, right? Like, you start to buy your own stuff. I wanted to hear some of your thoughts on that because, like I said, I think the ego takes you there, but the ego can also bring you down.
Yeah, I've been in the room with the author of the Alter Ego Effect, and I'm looking to my shoulder to look at the book, and he was a performance coach for Kobe. And the story in the book, and he told this, when Kobe ran into the issues in Colorado that he ran into with the woman, his ego was being attacked, meaning his embodiment, his identity was being attacked because of this event. That's when Black Mamba was created. Black Mamba was actually created by a team of performance coaches and advisors to create another identity, because the identity that he had, he didn't want to attach to anymore, and it was affecting his mind and his game. When they picked the Mamba, they stated that there was nobody on the planet that knew more about the Mamba than Kobe, because he studied
the actual snake, right?
The actual snake.
I just want to make sure, because I don't think that many people know what the Mamba is, but the actual snake.
The actual snake. And he wrote out 100 characteristics of a Mamba and watched it. And I'm going to chop this one up, not in a bad way, because I don't remember which characteristics they were, but it was something like slithering and quick and aggressive and all these things. But he took those traits from the Mamba and said, I am going to embody that. And as I said, I have chills on my arms, because my soul is like, yes, that is right. That he got so into creating this new identity. And then what happened? That dude went off. Pre that event, post that event, his numbers post that remarkable because of that creating of that identity, of that new ego. Alter ego is what they call it.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. So the alter ego. So that's actually a really good clue to tie in earlier, like when we're talking about how some people can figure out a way on how to create their way out of a problem, right? That instead of you trying to maybe manage it, maybe you just throw the baby out with the bathwater and create a new alter ego, and you just walk right into that motherfucker.
Okay, so but look at here. So to close the loop on Tiger, and I won't tell you about the second part, but it's good.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it.
What didn't happen for Tiger that did happen for Kobe? Kobe had the kind of people around him that were going to love on him and help him through that. Tiger didn't. They should have created something else, call him the Black Panda or just something that, I mean, like maybe the Tiger, he could have just put the Tiger to sleep and came out with a new alter ego, but that didn't happen. His identity was crushed once it got attacked because of all of his stuff that he was doing.
What I automatically think about when you talk about this, so obviously his dad was super prevalent in his life and obviously gave him the love of the game, helped him get it to a certain point. Once you said he didn't have the right people, the first person I thought about was Mike Tyson. Same situation. He had Customato. The moment Customato removed himself, Tyson was no longer able to use that ability for good. And it literally just turned around on him from being one of the greats to being, washed up. And I'm not saying that he totally is, but having that fall, right? Getting charges, being arrested, having homegirl. And it's almost like Tiger fell down the same slope.
Michael Jackson. Mike Thriller. Like you look, but you think about who are the people around him.
Nobody too.
You look at
Nobody.
So yeah, that's what shows up for me is when we look at now let's think about plants again. When you think about evolving and growing or decaying, the kind of people that were around those egos that took over and caused the body to decay, the reputation, the identity to decay, one of the people around them to love them on them that much.
It's so interesting because as we talk, I'm answering the question I just asked you. So we got first thing you got to figure out on how to center yourself within the mornings, right? Then the next thing might be potentially if you don't feel your potential ego, creating a new one and walking into it, right? And then it seems like another layer to it. And a lot of people, again, money, cars, fame. No, you need the team. You need loved ones that are going to be there and to pick you up. Because if you can't have that, when you reach turmoil, you're probably going down the drain.
So I'm going to add to that. It's the who, not the how. And that's another book that was just released about a month ago. And it's a premise that Dan Sullivan, he's a guy from this organization called Strategic Coach, and they coach entrepreneurs all around the world for the last 30 years. And the premise is real simple, that we get so caught up as human beings to focus on the hows, especially if we don't know how to do it, but we're going to try to figure out this do-it-yourself movement for the last 30 years, the IKEA stuff, this, that, and other. The focus on that how has a lot of people not trying because they're worried about the how, or they think they're better than they are and they try it and then they don't get the result they want. If to flip the whole script and go to the who is the kind of person that could put together this IKEA dresser in half the time that I can? Or who is the person around me that, especially in Tiger's case, who is the person around me that knows how to act right and knows that if I do this, I'm going to jeopardize all of what I spent my life building up? Where's that who? Don King? Does that mean you start thinking about the who's that have been around some of these people, and they were in it for themselves? Tyson for sure with Don King.
100%.
I mean, that I could go on forever on that one, but yeah. But I like how you've taken this apart to say, okay, how can we systematize our day so much so that we don't have the dark ego? And we'll call dark ego light ego. Light meaning enlightenment, and dark meaning dark. How do we not let the dark ego have so much power over us to where we are obsessively preoccupied with being unhappy? That there's a lot of people obsessively preoccupied with not being happy. They shout, they yell, they say they're betrayed, they say that they always involved in drama. You know them. I know you know some people like that from back in the days.
Listen, right now, fuck the back in the day. They're still struggling with that shit. But I think I want to go back a little bit to what you were saying, because I think that that's also extremely profound. So, because again, I've kind of like walked through this journey when you're thinking about how to execute, and you kind of come up on these things. And I think the second one is the most deadly one, right? Where you don't have a plan and then you gun-ho it, right? And then you fall on your face and you're like, this shit didn't work. But how can you say that, right? When you didn't, like the word you used, you didn't systemize, you didn't make a tactical approach on how you were going to execute. Now, I thought it was bullshit, bro. Make the jump, figure it on the way down. But you got to really go through that to truly understand that, because part of it is just the leap of faith, right? You got to burn the boats. That's what I think the leap of faith is. And then on the way down, obviously the way down is going to be a very long fall, but as you're falling or ascending, you have time to work on your plan, because the biggest thing is, like I was telling you earlier, one thing that I heard from somebody back in the day was paralysis by overanalysis. A lot of people think about fucking shit, but they don't do shit, right? Same thing with the ego. You might have all these great ideas, or you might have bad ideas, and they're not letting you move, right? Another thing that I thought about too when you were talking was Tony Robbins talks about success leaving clues, right? So I think it happens a lot in the coaching world, right? You'll see a new coach and he goes, okay, well, Bill Walsh was successful. Why was Bill Walsh successful? Okay, Bill Walsh, he coached at Stanford. Guess what? I'm going to go get a job at Stanford. I'm going to go see what happens. Okay, then he was an assistant coach over here. I'm going to do it. And they literally plot out or execute the same exact thing that mentor in their mind had done, and they get very similar results. So when you say the who, I think that definitely is important too. You need to figure out who you're going to attach yourself to, or who you're going to decide to follow or use their blueprint, because they kind of laid it down for you a little bit.
Yeah, I want to take you through a quick exercise. I know you didn't expect to do this, but I'm doing it for everybody else. I'm doing it for the listeners, the watchers, because they might think like, man, that sounds like a lot of work.
It kind of does on the low when you start to break it down.
But it's not. And that's what I'm going to show you right now.
Go ahead.
1 year from today is January 22nd, 2022. That sounds like a dope day. 1/22/2022. 1 year. We're gonna do this again. Now, 1 year ahead. Think of yourself 1 year from today, and we're both talking. And then you look back on the last 12 months, and you're smiling from ear to ear. Again, we're a year ahead. You look back on the last 12 months, and you're smiling from ear to ear. Why are you smiling? What are the things that happen in your life over those 12 months that has you smiling? I'm literally asking you, like, if we're a year from today, we're talking a year from today, and you're smiling from ear to ear a year from today, and I said, hey, what happened over those past 12 months since we talked? What happened?
So I don't even gotta like think forward. I could just think backwards, bro, because almost it's coming up on the anniversary of the day that I decided to go on this voyage. And I'm smiling right now, ear to ear. And I could tell you why. One of the main reasons is I decided to stop listening to everybody else and start listening to myself, and listening to the voices within myself telling me what I was really excited and passionate about. And even though I didn't get the financial rewards, the satisfaction that I have mentally and emotionally is leap and bounds by any standard of anything you could give me. Like if I thought about it, I'm like, hey, would you take a TV right now? I'm like, nah, I'm good. Hey, would you get a brand new car right now? I'm like, nah, I'm good. I just want to continue to do what I love to do. And seeing that, and now when you say look a year ahead, I get more excited, because I'm like, man, if 12 months allowed me to do this, and now I start to create momentum, shucks, what's gonna go down that next year? I think I'm gonna be able to dwarf what I did, because in that first year, you're doing a lot of learning and a lot of self-evaluation. But once you kind of catch up with the herd, now you're just taking it to the lane, and you're learning how to maybe dribble right-handed, left-handed, lay up with your right, lay up with your left, lay up underneath the rim right, underneath, and then now you start to get more bags and tricks. For example, with me, bro, I couldn't tell you a dynamic mic from a condenser mic. Now ask me that question. I know what the fuck I'm talking about. I couldn't tell you the difference between, Zoom and Facebook or FaceTime. I can talk to you now. I know how to work social media. So I've actually seen it happen, but the longest time I was fearful, because I was worried about, back to the mic thing, which mic is going to work. Instead of making the jump, I was thinking about these silly things, who's going to listen? Is it going to monetize right away? Once I stripped all of that away, it was just the joy that took me there, brother, just to pull it full circle. And now all I focus on is the joy. And when I wake up, bro, I'm extremely joyful. And to push it back a year forward, bro, I get goosebumps thinking that if I stay on that path of appreciating being joyful, I think that, watch out, world, seriously, because I'm gonna be fucking fired up.
I love that. And for the listeners, I'm gonna fill in some blanks right now. What I just heard you say, and I'm gonna channel you a little bit. A year from now, we're talking, and I look back on that. I close my eyes. I look back on that year, and I'm like, damn, what a good year. I stopped listening. I continued to stop listening to other people's bullshit. I stopped continuing to listen to their egos. I started doing more podcasts than I ever imagined. The opportunities that showed up for me, I could have never imagined, but it was because I kept doing the work. The Yankees won the pennant. Again, this is how you create. You look back and when's the last time you put together a puzzle? Long time?
No. I got the kids now, so I would probably say a few months, because during quarantine
Okay.
we had to get like the puzzle board game stuff out.
All right. So if you're anything like me, I don't put puzzles together without the box top. I got to see what those pieces are, because you can't just put all 1,000 pieces on the table and then just tell me go at it, and then I'm just going to go get the edges and I don't know what I'm making. It's no different. It's everybody has to make their own box up, what they see for themselves over that year, these next 12 months, so then they can put the pieces together. But if you you can't speak out what you would love to choose to desire to experience, it's not just going to happen just by luck.
Bro, it's funny that you bring up 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, right? Almost 4 months ago, we were talking, and you said there's 90 days to the new year. That stuff stuck with me, and I made sure, maybe I didn't use all 90, but 45 got hammered down hard, right? And now coming back, and it's just, I think that when people see things, they look at it so big, right? And they try to attack it so big, when it's like the same thing with a puzzle. You work on a little corner here, you work on a bottom there. All of a sudden, like, oh shit, this actually goes here. You start to build a frame, and slowly but surely you get there. I just think that, media does a terrible job at fucking with us. Or excuse me, they do a great job.
It does a great job.
They do a great job of fucking with us, because all they want us to do is either have an Amazon deal, buy a TV, or want to be flossy the way the celebs are, right? Oh shit, this guy got a new chain. Maybe I need a new chain. Oh, this guy's got $400 kicks. Maybe I need those $400 kicks, right? Homeboy got a Ferrari. I might need one of those too. And we start to lose sight of the things that truly make us passionate. And I feel, again, I can't say it enough, I feel like we're in a space where we could flip the game on these guys, where we can all start following our passions and all, for the first time in a long time, become artists and musicians and performers in a time where that wasn't really the rule of thumb, when they normally send you to school for being a lawyer or a doctor.
The way that we speak into the world creates our world around us. I've never said those words before, and I'm glad we're recording it, because when you speak into the world as I love to, I choose to, I desire to, you end up having a vibration of creation. When you speak into the world of have to, ought to, need to, want to, that's desperation. That's survivor. That's, I got to be socially accepted. I got to feel secure. The detachment, the line between both of those statements is consciousness. If you're paying attention to possessions, prestige, and power, it's coming from the outside. When you focus from the inside, it's presence. And you are absolutely right. This is a divine opportunity to have people fall in love with what they want to do, because the way that jobs are done now, it's dramatic. The workplace is dramatically changed. I don't know what they're going to do with all these office buildings.
I have no
I mean,
idea.
right.
It's
Right.
scary to
But there's
think.
one other thing
Go ahead.
I was missing.
No,
I was
go
going to
ahead.
say earlier. When we're trying to create a habit of presence on the inside and forgetting the negative ego, tokens are also a nice reminder. And a token is a bracelet. It could be anything that's a symbol of where you're headed. Now, I don't know if you remember this story, but I remember a time when you and I were in a bar, and
I do remember this.
You do remember this, dude.
I remember the dark places, bro, and the dark places actually keep me in the light. If you could think about that, it's kind of crazy.
Right. Well, I'll say my version, and you fill in the blanks.
Go ahead.
But I remember you coming up to me in the bar with a very dark shadow. I mean, a dark shadow over you, which had you speaking dark thoughts. And I believe it was a necklace on me. Was it a necklace or a bracelet? It was a necklace.
Yeah, I think it was a necklace.
So I had this necklace on, and I took it off immediately. And I told you, this is where I get my power from. Give this back to me in 7 days. Keep it for a week, but I need you to give this back to me in 7 days. That did not come from up here. That came from here. It was my soul talking to you. It was love. It was an expression of love that I can't claim credit for. Like, literally, you were talking the darkest of dark thoughts. And I was like, this man is going to commit to giving me back my power in a week. And it's going to give him power. And it did. Well, you tell me.
It totally did. And it's confusing in a way, right? Where I don't know if it was a placebo effect, right? With me just thinking that you thought it was powerful, that automatically I thought that. And within that, I had probably one of the better weeks I had had in a while. And I had constantly remembered every time something good happened, I would automatically look at the charm and be like, damn, this shit kind of does work. But again, it could have been the placebo thing that just made me think that, when I was just, there was something to escape mentally, because at that point I wasn't able to escape. I was a prisoner of my own mind, when you think about those things. But that allowed me to give a reason, or to allow myself to have a reason for joy, right? When at that time I was not joyful, right? And again, to expand for the listeners as well, because I think a lot of people are here, and this was something that I got to within just the last year. The reason I was I was filled with so much sorrow was because I wasn't pursuing my joy. If that's weird, right? I mean, you don't think that, and I think a lot of people feel sad inside, but a lot of it has to do with they're not pursuing what their soul is telling them to go pursue, and because of that, you get angry, you get pissed off, you blame other people. When at the end of the day, it's truly within your control. Problem is that when you're so down in the forest, again, you can't see the tree line, right? And it just all looks bad. It takes time, but I think you get there eventually. The problem is losing takes a toll on you. And that's why when you look at guys like freaking Michael Jordan, you got to tip the cap, because to get punched in the face over and over and over. And I mean, one of the greatest lines I've been hearing a lot, and I really enjoy it, is the setback sets you up for the comeback, right? But a lot of people don't get that. And a lot of people don't really truly understand what success is, in my opinion, because from where I stand now, success is managing losses.
Okay.
For me, at least, because you can't get too low and you can't get too high. Right, you get too high, something happens, fucks you up, you get all fucked up. And then if you get too low, you can't pull yourself up to go meet at those things, because you were saying it's about being present, right?
I watched a show called Iconoclast, and it was with Dave Chappelle and Maya Angelou. and they collided them for an hour to talk. And Dave was talking about fame. And again, Maya Angelou, she, rest her soul, she was talking to him about fame, and she was 40, 50 years older than him at the time. And I will always remember what she said. She said, you know how I handle fame. I just never pick up with what I don't want to put down. Because if you pick up a newspaper and read your reviews, you're going to pick up the good ones and you're going to pick up the bad ones. And she just said, I'm not going to pick it up because I know I have to put it down. So she never looked at her reviews. And I saw it in his face. He was like, wow, because you're right. Like your ego will be like, why was that person saying that? They don't even know how to play this sport. And they're just, that's why I can't handle a lot of the ESPN stuff. Because that's just all critiquing and complaining, and
especially for motherfuckers that have never played a down in their life. I'm like, bro, be quiet.
Right. But even that, like I said, obsessive preoccupation with judging people, with being bitter, with being offended, with name calling, shouting, screaming, like keep that over there. So yeah, there was something about that. You know, if people are out there right now, and I'm glad you said this, because I want to take a moment to honor the people that are in the canyon. And here's what I mean by that. Think about the Grand Canyon. If you were going to do a trek from rim to rim, that means it depends on how fast you're going to hike. It's going to be a trek. You have to prepare yourself. So you get to the edge, and then you ascend or descend. You descend first. So you descend into the canyon. That takes a lot of work and courage and commitment. You get down in the canyon, you deep down in the canyon, you're at the bottom looking up. That's a lot of people's rock bottom. It takes a lot of guts and courage to get down to rock bottom and then look up and start the ascent again to get to the other side. So I'm honoring everybody who is at rock bottom right now, and knowing that you can ascend as long as you have presence, and not in your ego, the bad ego, but presence in your soul and your body. Like honoring your soul and your body so much so that you will be your own light. You won't look outside about the cars and the clothes and the girls or the guys or whatever. It's like you're starting from within. So yeah, I love the visual of thinking about it as a canyon, and because it is, and we end up at rock bottom. We're like, how do we get here? Well, it's not about how we got here. It's how we're going to get there.
I agree. I think a lot of people tend to dwell on why did we get here versus trying to script a plan together. Like, let's get the fuck out of here.
Right.
You know what I found an interesting sideline, that I want to bring into this, because this is one guy who I think dwarfs a lot of these athletes in the sense of the level of greatness constantly being reached. And we can weigh a lot of guys into this argument, but what Tom Brady has done over his career has been ridiculously impressive. And there have been times in his career that he has hit rock bottom, but I don't think he's ever worried about how he got there. I mean, imagine you have the perfect season. You're 18-0. You just got to win one more game. You will cement yourself as one of the greatest teams to ever win. You lose. Right? Mm-hmm. You've had multiple situations where you've been to Super Bowls and some fluky thing happens and you lose. A helmet gets caught with one finger. These guys stumble into the first down. Something crazy. I mean, I think we remember a lot of Tom's wins when we don't really think about Tom's losses. And not only that, he seems to be someone who's not blinded by the outside stuff, right? Like, homeboy doesn't drink. Homeboy's really not partying. After the season's over, immediately we go back to work to start preparing for the new season, no matter if we won, tied, or lost. And that kind of like commitment to your craft has been something that I look to him as a mentor for, because he's taken blows, but in enduring those blows, it inevitably gets you to greatness.
You said a lot there, and what the shorter version is for me is that there's no one on the planet better in self-control and self-discipline. And people are like, hey, those are the same. No, they're not. Self-control is about reward and joy. Like, okay, you put me in a donut factory. I got to have some self-control because I love donuts. Okay? Now that's self-control. So you describe him as having great self-control to not do the things that he would love to do. And I don't know if he likes to drink or he did like to drink, but let's say
pretend he did.
Let's say he
yeah.
does.
Uh-huh.
Right. Okay. So that's self-control. Self-discipline is having the awareness, presence of mind. When I think of presence of mind, I always think about Reggie Miller, presence of mind to shoot them threes and
be at the right place
seconds.
At the right time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But the presence of mind that Tom Brady has when you have to use self-discipline to stop yourself from doing something that would be negative. I'm not the cat who, when I'm driving on the street and somebody cuts me off, I'm not the flip the bird cat. I have self-discipline, even though my body might want to flip off or whatever, but I have to have the self-discipline and honor the people who have taught me how to act right, my mother, my father, my aunties, my uncles, and lean on that versus just lean on me in that moment. So yeah, Tom Brady has amazing self-control, amazing self-discipline, and a hellified team of who's. That dude has hired more who's to keep his body looking like he's 25. And he's 42? I don't know what he is.
I think he's 43, but that's right too. I think that's another valid point. He did surround himself with tons of who's, right?
Tons of who's. He was doing the cryo therapy before many people were, like with the machines. Like he had the machines in the house. Then he does the work with to pull all of the tension out of every muscle every day. I forgot what that discipline is called, but yeah. And you don't have to, like we're talking about, we're idolizing
right.
these guys, but every day, for everyday people, have some damn self-discipline. Don't do some shit that you know you shouldn't be doing. Have some self-control. Don't just enjoy what everything is all the time, because those people, when I think of athletes who spent too much time enjoying, I think of Deion Sanders. Again, great athlete. I'm not, but his career could have been lengthened if he wasn't in the clubs in Atlanta, drinking and all that. I bet you a lot of athletes, if they look back and on what they know now, they could have probably extended their careers a lot more if they would have been as self-discipline and self-control as Tom Brady.
Yeah, no, I was bringing up him also in reference to trying to look at that puzzle box, right? Because how are you going to build the puzzle that you want or get close enough if you don't have something to reflect? But now when you bring up, like, you know, some of the ball players that have kind of dropped the ball right now, Harden is receiving ridiculous scrutiny because homeboy spends all his time in the club, right? So now, like, when it comes down to it, you also have to know what you want, right? But when you're chasing to be better, right, how bad do you want to be better? I was going to use greatness, but not everybody can exude to that level of performance in the sense of like an athlete. I'm not saying that we don't have it within us, but in that specific vein, because a lot of people say they want to be great, but they don't really mean that shit, right? Like the idea sounds better than the actual work. I think it was Tim Grover, Jordan's trainer, that took him to the next level. He said he could tell within the first few minutes interviewing somebody if they're going to take it to the next level or not. You could just tell where they at. You know, if I'm giving them a diet and they're giving me a hard time about the diet, they ain't ready. If I'm telling them, hey, we got to be at the gym at 5:30, they always late, 7:30, they ain't ready. And so you can see, because after a while, people have a tendency of just showing you who they really are over time. But when you see the differences of different people, and not everybody could do it. Like, I'm sure, a homeboy probably mad he wasn't in the club all the time, maybe missed out on some things, right? But when he looks back at it now, he's going to play to 50 with ease, right? Like, he ain't even going to. So when you're talking about longevity, I think that was something too when you talk about Kobe and Tiger and Tyson weren't able to do. Kobe was even able to play more time, right? Because homeboys flipped the script. I mean, even Michael did it with Tim's help. He was able to take off and play baseball at a high level and then come right back and play basketball at a high level. Not many people, are mentally fit to handle all of that.
The box top thing, Brady, I think I remember this, that his 2 years ahead is already written out. Like his meals, his vacation, that's his box top. He knows the 1,000 pieces he's putting together 2 years ahead of time. I say that because I have a 25-year plan. So I literally have written out in detail, 25 years from now, we're talking. And I'm smiling from ear to ear. What happened in those 25 years? I have 6,000 words written for every dimension of my life on what happened over those 25 years. And I wrote it 2 years ago, so 2 years have already happened. But I know where I'm headed. And you know what? There's nothing more attractive for any single dudes out there. There is nothing more attractive to a woman than somebody who has intention. They should make a cologne out of that shit. Just spray some intention on. So that's again, we talk about athletes again. I bet it is intention has a lot to do with that.
No, I listen. I couldn't agree more. I mean, intention almost sounds like commitment, but it's like something you do on purpose. This shit ain't by accident, right? And you writing out 25 years, or someone writing out 2 years of their life. Not only is it exercising intention, but I also think it takes some of the guesswork out of shit, right? Where now I don't gotta think. I'm just doing because it's already written down.
I bet you might have known this, but if you look at some of the most creative people on the planet who wear the same black T-shirt every day, and not literally the same one, but a black T-shirt every day, it's because they have decision fatigue. So they take all the decisions out, and they just go in that closet and take that one T-shirt out of 100 you see in the damn closet and put it on because they don't have to think about it. That 25-year plan or 25-day plan. Let's get some people to 25 days.
Let's take them to 21 days. Especially because we just passed the 21st century, the 21st year, and I forget what other 21st it was, but we'll keep them to the 21st day, 21 day shit.
Right, but that idea, and a lot of people think, well, I'm not a writer. You have a phone that you can record on. You could just talk into it and say, hey, close my eyes. I'm looking 21 days from today. And 21 days from today, I look back on those 21 days and I'm smiling. Why am I smiling? Oh, man, my relationship with my girl is way better than it was. I'm feeling better shape because I've been exercising. I exercised 10 out of the 21 days. Prior to that, I hadn't exercised one day. Everyone has the ability to put intention into the world if they put attention on it. And that's the problem. It's like you don't pay attention to it because you don't have any intention, and then you're unsatisfied. That's why.
Well, I definitely think that we're gonna have to break this thing up into more parts because this is the stuff, man. Like I said, I know somebody right now that should be listening to this, and they're having a lot of issues. But a lot of this stuff, attention, planning, joy, focus, presence, the light ego, a lot of these things could be tools in your tool belt that can at least help you redirect your energy, because I don't think you have to really worry about getting there as much as actually starting, which is probably the hardest part. But I know you're a busy dude. We gotta figure out how we're gonna get this going so we can do this maybe a few times a month at least. I definitely want to come out. I've been busy, but I wanted to make it out to your guys that don't lie to each other, conference thing that you got set up, which is kind of sick.
Yeah.
I literally have woken up in the middle of the night like, oh my God, I'm gonna miss this thing and not getting around to it. So I think, like I said, it's important to surround yourself with people, and through all the nonsense in the social media, at least it's good to know that there are groups that are positive and that are trying to bring people together.
Yeah.
So I think we left it off the last time. If anybody was interested in reaching you out, it's just John at backupceo, right? .com.
Yeah. So any email, john@backupceo.com, and then anywhere in social media, Backup CEO on Instagram, Facebook. I do have one parting thought.
Please.
And again, it's for that person who feels less than, unheard, not loved, not seen. This is a divine moment for you to be obsessive, have an obsessive preoccupation of letting love in. Because what I know to be true is that if you don't let love in, it's hard to let love out. And then it's tough to just be in love with yourself. So that's what I would say, let love in.
It was funny. I wanted to share this with you because I was looking up a whole bunch of stuff on Dr. King, but it was like, there is no right time to do the right thing. And I thought that was beautiful, right?
Yeah.
Guy was dialed in. John, thanks so much for visiting with us. We'll get you back soon. We'll talk. Text me up in a little bit. And thank you guys so much for listening. Stay safe and stay healthy out there, guys.